Breathing in jet fuel might have seemed normal in your 20s, but it is not normal. That exposure slowly damages your lung, your brain, and your future. This is the dark truth behind jet fuel. And all those in the Air Force or in the Navy or in the Army who works around jet fuel, I want to cover in this video what the military never told you. Did you ever walk off the flight line with burning eyes or metallic taste in your mouth or spitting headache after working on jets? If you were in the Air Force or Navy or the Army around hydraulic fuel, degreasers, and the like, and you just brushed it off, the VA didn't tell you when you were on active duty that these chemicals were extremely dangerous, and your exposure to them put your health, your future health, in jeopardy. Hey, this is Russ from Veteran Experience. If you find this content valuable, please like, subscribe, send it out to other veterans. Please watch it all the way to the end. This is how we get the content out to veterans like you who need this information. Let's get at it. What jet fuel exposure really means for you. Let's start with the basics. JP-8 is a type of jet propulsion fuel used in military aircraft. It replaced JP-4 because it was supposedly safer. But here is the catch. JP-8 contains benzene and other hydrocarbons, all of which are toxic if inhaled or exposed to the skin or swallowed. When you were refueling aircraft, maintaining fuel systems, or simply working on the flight line, you were breathing that stuff in on a regular basis. And in most cases, you didn't have the proper PPE before 2010. In most cases, PPE was optional. Exposure were routine, include inhaling vapors, skin contact through maintenance or refueling, contaminated uniforms and surfaces. And that wasn't just once. We are talking about a repeated exposure for the full time you were in that role. And what does it do to your body? I think this is where it gets scary. There were things that get worse. It affects your respiratory system, damage to the veteran's lung, cause chronic cough, shortness of breath, bronchitis, and even asthma-like symptoms years after leaving the military. JP-8 exposure is linked to airway inflammation, reduced lung capacity, restrictive airway dysfunction called RADS, pulmonary fibrosis, long-term cases. Some veterans being exposed with chronic disruptive pulmonary disease called COPD. Some veterans are being diagnosed with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is called COPD, even if they never smoked. Ask yourself, have you noticed your lungs aren't what they used to be? Number two, is a neurological or cognitive problem from JP-8. Doesn't just stop at the lungs. It crosses into the bloodstream/brain barrier. Veterans have reported memory loss, headaches, mood swings, brain fog, tingling in the fingers and lungs, and in some cases, those symptoms mirror early onset of dementia or toxic encephalitis, and in some cases, encephalopathy, a brain disorder caused by chronic chemical exposure. According to the National Research Council, JP-8 fumes can reduce cognitive function and reaction time. Number three, blood immune system studies suggest that JP-8 may also, blood and immune system studies suggest JP-8 may also suppress the immune system and impact bone marrow. This can show up as fatigue, unusual bruising, frequent infections. This is real-time consequences of working around and with jet fuel. And these symptoms you should not play with. You need to seek medical help as soon as possible. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, go to the VA, make an appointment, and see what impact your military job has had on your life long term. The fight for VA compensation. Now here is where it hits home for you. Veterans who served around jet fuel and are developing these health issues are struggling to get service connection. Why? Because there's no official presumptive condition listed under JP-8 exposure. But that doesn't mean that you can't win your claim. Here is what you need. One, a lay statement supporting your claim, describing your duties, and talking about your exposure to JP-8. Lack of PPE, immediate and long-term symptoms. Number two, you need a medical nexus. Get the Nexus letter from a doctor who understands the chemical exposure, and make sure they reference JPA and how that is least as likely your symptoms today are a result from the chemical exposure to this. Number 3, consistent diagnosis and treatment. Do not skip the doctor. Go to the pulmonary, neurology, and mental health specialist to document everything about where you are today. What is your status of your health today? Let me share you a real-time story. There's a veteran who was in the Navy, worked on the flight line, was exposed to jet fuel, and he developed a cancer. And we were able to connect this cancer back to his military experience and exposure to jet fuel and his time in the Navy. His claim was approved because he had a diagnosis, he had a strong Nexus letter, he had buddy statements, and he was approved for 60% as consequences for his exposure to jet fuel. And this starts the clock because there may be other symptoms and things that happen to him because of his time in the Navy. So get to the doctor, get a diagnosis, get buddy statements, and get a Nexus. I want to say the VA will not contact you about your job on active duty and what the possible injuries or side effects of that job could be, and ask you to come in to do an evaluation to make sure you are healthy. That's not going to happen. So if you don't push the issue, if you don't go in, you're not only putting your health at risk, number one. Number two, you're leaving compensation on the table that you rightly deserve because of your military experience. Jet fuel exposure is a real health crisis for veterans that had this job on active duty. Those that served on the flight line, mechanics, refueling, all of these roles around jet fuel and these toxic chemicals put your long-term health in jeopardy. This is Russ from Veteran Experience. If you like this content, you find it valuable, please like, subscribe, send it out to other veterans. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. And if you worked around this jet fuel, please get help. Make sure your health is good. And if you need compensation, file a claim. Do what we always say around here, keep fighting.